Wait, how's this lighting? It's kind of hard, huh? It's cloudy outside. Look at that. I have this horrible LED overhead lighting, but it is what it is, and here we go. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy Carnivore Month. Did you stick with the goals? I did. However, I did find something interesting out. Good and bad, I guess. But first, let me introduce myself a little better. I'm Diana. I just started keto a week ago on December 26th, 2025. I am here to heal from years of inflammation, fibromyalgia, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I had my gallbladder taken out in October of 2025. And at this point in my life, I am 52 years old. I am not working. I am blessed to have married a retired Navy veteran. And so we are living in the great state of Oregon, Central Oregon. It is beautiful here. It is very cloudy out. They say we get a lot of sunshine, but I think they say that because the sun rises, not because it's actually sunny out. Now, originally, I'm from the Southwest. I am from California, New Mexico, Texas, the South. Warmer weather, more sunshine, and that's all right. I am so excited to be here. The forest is beautiful. It's just lovely to be here. So much to explore, right? I'm really excited to go hiking and go through on trails. I had a really lovely year last year, just getting oriented with Oregon. So if I go on nature walks and stuff, let me know if you want to see that. Anyway, so let's get focused on keto, my journey. I have had lots of bouts with illness for many years. For about 15 years of my life, I have struggled with weight gain, pain, and various ailments that, I've asked my doctors about. They would do blood work, and lo and behold, everything would just be within normal range. Whatever normal range is supposed to be, that's where I was. So I went to, I started with an OBGYN to check my hormones. They found nothing wrong with them. I went to various naturopath doctors to try to optimize my thyroid or something else, because I was having so many symptoms. And everything was always so normal. They were like, yeah, we don't know what's your problem. Well, I was, by process of elimination, was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Okay. The treatment for fibromyalgia is they treat you as if you have arthritis, which, okay, fair. They'll put you on Lyrica, and they will put you on an antidepressant because it's all in your head. There's not actually anything wrong with you, but obviously there's something wrong. They just don't know what it is. So they're like, it must be some sort of mental disorder. It'll help you feel like it doesn't matter that you're in pain. It doesn't remedy a darn thing. These medications are so useful for so many people. I'm not dissing the medication, the course of treatment. I am not a doctor. I'm not your doctor. Do what's best for you. I can just tell you, I did not get relief. I was working. I am a former manufacturing technician. I work very hard for a living, and this medication dulled me. I felt drugged. And mentally, I was in a fog. I just couldn't perform properly or safely with this medication. It just was not for me. If I had been doing a different profession, possibly, but not working with heavy machinery, or I was also part of the emergency response team for my company, and I just could not perform like I needed to. So it just wasn't a course for myself. I was also recommended to have medicinal marijuana. Now, again, if you know that medicinal marijuana has its very powerful pain relieving properties. However, you can't have that in your system if you're working in manufacturing, heavy machinery, anything like that. It is a high risk situation to just not be all there, right? Like you can't take these drugs. Regardless of the fact of how effective they are, it's just not an option. So again, I just relied on good old ibuprofen. Lots of ibuprofen. I drank a lot of water, and now I've always led a fairly active life besides the work that I did, which was shift work. We're talking 12 hours on my feet, steel toe boots. Well, not steel toe, they were composite, but you know what I mean, like work boots. I had a tool belt on my hip, bump cap, the whole 9 yards. Very active, up and down stairs. I averaged about 5 miles of walking a day. Plus, I physically, manually moved product, which equaled about 6 tons per shift. I was an active person. I was gaining weight. Now, during that time, did I enjoy sweets? I was drinking beer, I was out eating nachos and burgers and the standard American diet, right? I one day came to the realization that, okay, I gotta get it together. This pain is awful. I gotta do something. And I was originally introduced to the Whole30. Has anybody else done the Whole30? It's actually pretty good. That's where I learned what foods I was particularly sensitive to. So you cut the crap, right? You cut the sugars, you cut the soy, you cut the dairy, you cut out pretty much all of the things that could possibly be triggering inflammation in your body. And that was honestly a wonderful discovery for me. It was so hard. Oh my gosh. I felt like trash. It was crazy town, like the withdrawals from the carbohydrates and the oxalate dumping. Oh, if you've never experienced that before, like if you're new to keto, my goodness, it is something to experience for the first time. And I was not prepared because this was about 8 or 9 years ago that I did this, and there just wasn't a lot of information or people talking about it like we do now, right? This was prior to TikTok, prior to a lot of YouTubers. There were some, but they were hard to find, and you would find them if you were looking. So that's how I came across the keto carnivore community, because I was interested in the elimination diets. Well, as usual, I felt really good after this Whole30 experiment. I did lose a little inflammation. I did start to feel better, but life was lifing. I was the only one that was doing this crazy elimination diet, and it was sort of like a let's see what happens, but not a forever experiment for me. It was literally just 30 days, get through it, be done with that, and move on with life, right? Everything goes back to normal. But then after that, I felt terrible. Like I really felt the impact that food had on my system. So that's when I really started to realize when I ate certain things, which was my biggest triggers for inflammation for myself personally, was bread, store-bought bread that was sweet. So cookies, donuts, pastries, pies, sweet bread, anything that had that wheat sugar combination was the worst. Now, could I have a sandwich? Yeah, I could actually have a sandwich and feel okay. But if I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I would get a migraine like right away. So that was just like an intense sugar high, I think, was just my blood sugar couldn't handle the rush, if you will. I don't know. It was bad. But I did discover that, and I'm appreciative that I experienced that so that I knew what to avoid. So moving forward, my symptoms for my personal body were getting worse. I was having a lot of hormone issues. If you're a lady, you understand your cycle gets thrown off. They become very painful. It's just unnormal, right? You know what your normal is for your body, and this was not normal. They were extreme. My cycles were extreme. And so of course I went to my professional doctors and I said, hey, I have all this inflammation in my abdomen. I'm having these symptoms. Went over everything. Doctors are very kind and they do listen, and it's not their fault. They run the tests, they do the exams, and if they don't find like a red flag, then they go, sorry honey, you just don't meet this criteria for a more invasive procedure or exam, ultrasound, what, blah, 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 whatever. And so you're left thinking that this is normal. You're getting old and sluggish. You've had a few kids. You're stressed out. You're tired because you have a hard job, whatever. And you just go, I guess I'm back to taking ibuprofen and it's all in my head. And you go on with your life. Well, about, I want to say 6 months after going to doctors, complaining about my hormones, my excessive bleeding, my pain, all of these things, I went to a different doctor and I was crying and I said, there is something wrong with me and I need you to figure it out. Does a pelvic exam and says, oh, there's like a little inflammation in here. Let me send you off for an ultrasound. I had fibroids. And I forget what the term is, but it was in the uterus and in the lining of my uterus. I had massive fibroids. Ooh. Okay. Yes. Thank you. You've told me that there is actually something wrong with me. Now what can we do? They're too big now. There's not any way to reverse that. There's not a remedy to reverse fibroids. Once they get a certain size, you lose your uterus. You just lose body parts. It's sick. Let's cut it out. Now, I had already had 4 children. I was done having children. I'm an older lady now. So, okay, yeah, all right, let's do it. Go for it. So I lost my uterus. I did receive some hormone replacement therapy for a while, and that did help me, but my pain, chronic inflammation, chronic fatigue, and the chronic fatigue isn't just that you're like narcolepsy. It's not that you're tired. It's not that you're sleepy per se. It's that you have the muscle and the strength in your body, but you literally cannot perform it. Like, you know that you can pick up this 5 pounds, but it takes so much effort to lift it. And it's just 5 pounds. Or to carry something. You should be able to carry things without thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you press on and you do it, but it's so hard and it's so difficult to explain. And I don't even think that I had the severity that a lot of women had. I was able to just keep popping those ibuprofen, Tylenol, whatever I could get my hands on and keep going. Because again, I was technically fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It wasn't fine. Now, through the School of Hard Knocks, I've also learned that I can go into, I can perform, what am I trying to say? I can be ketogenic. I can cut the crap out of my diet, lose the weight, feel better, do some exercises, and it is effective. Keto works for me, but I fail to keep consistent with keto. But these are the things that derail me. I wasn't ready for the forever transition into keto. I wanted relief, and then when I felt better, I wanted to be able to enjoy, let's say, a more normal standard American life where I could just drive through, get something to eat, not think about it. what I didn't realize was that my brain no longer worked that way. I couldn't just have one bite of something sweet. I could no longer have one treat here and there. I could no longer enjoy a taste of something sweet. It would make me spiral. It actually was like a disordered eating, like a disordered binge eating. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I could not, if I had one Oreo, I was eating that whole package. And don't you dare try and come and get one, because they were mine. I was gonna eat them all. I'd get me a big old glass of milk, and that was it. I was just in there, just one after the other, putting them in my mouth. And it was so weird how I just like felt like an addict, you know, like sugar is my crack. It was awful. But I didn't want to miss out on celebrations and life and outings. And, you know, when you go to someone's house and they offer you something and you don't want to be a jerk and be like, oh, I can't eat that. I just wasn't brought up that way. I never thought about food that way until I just couldn't eat it because it makes me feel bad. And then there's the transition of realizing this food makes me feel bad. And now I have to convince everybody in my life that I can't eat like that anymore and that I'm not gonna die if I don't eat carbs. Anybody else struggle with that? Oh my gosh. Trying to explain these things to my mom, who is an excellent cook and who shows and expresses love with her food, was crazy town. I love her so much, but she struggled with that. She struggled with me saying, I can't eat tamales, pozole. I mean, could I have these things? I could eat like the meat in the middle, and then if she had too many carbs in the ingredients of the dish, I couldn't eat that. I couldn't eat, sorry about the movement, I could not eat red rice anymore and her fresh beans and her fresh tortillas. I could not eat those things anymore. Anybody else have conversations with their auntie and their mimas? And the manufacturing facility in which I worked was food. The manufacturing that we made was cereal and granola bars, fresh out of the oven. Part of my job was to do quality control and to test these products by actually consuming them and comparing them to a gold standard. Yeah. It was challenging, and I struggled to stick with it. And I struggled to say, no, I can't do that anymore. I would go on keto and I would stick to it for about, I don't know, maybe 6 to 9 months. I'd feel great. I was physically active. I was happier. My memory was better. I would do fantastic, okay? Fantastic. But then something tragic would happen and I would fall off the wagon. I just, can't say no to myself in certain situations. When I'm weak mentally, then I allowed things to enter my life that I know have just derailed me. The most recent wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I had a big life-changing event in 2019 into 2020. I think it was a really hard time for a lot of people. On top of the great plague that fell upon the land, which we're not going to talk about that. I also lost my husband, my home, all its contents in a fire. I went through a really hard time. And so during that era of my life, there was a lot of I guess I was just a little scared. I was nervous about the future and what the world was going to be. And even though I was perfectly fine, I was physically perfectly fine, and I had the resources and the ability to stick with the diet, I didn't. Because you know what? Sometimes you just need a cup of hot chocolate in the winter. And sometimes you just need to have your mom make you a big bowl of soup and not care about what's in it. And sometimes you just need to go be with friends and family who invite you over to dinner and not push their plate away because you can't eat what's there. You just have to say, thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and take care of yourself mentally. Well, fast forward a few years, I was doing great. I was recovering from all of that up here. Got it together, praise God. And I met someone. I met a really great guy. He was funny. He was awesome. He took really good care of me. And I don't know. I didn't know what to think. He won me over. He schmoozed me, right? He got the girl. But we went on really nice dates. And none of them were ketogenic, okay? He wanted to treat me, and he treated me well. And he treated me to very nice places, and I enjoyed it very much. So I have not been ketogenic for years. However, I have really reaped the consequences of not getting strict on the diet again. So fast forward to 2025, and I had mentioned to my husband, I really need to get on this diet. It's really good for me. He's 100% supportive. He's not ketogenic right now, though he has expressed that he's, he doesn't care. I am the chef of our family, so he doesn't care what I make. He's so good about that. He's super supportive. But I'm not going to deny him something he wants to purchase from the store that he wants to consume at a restaurant or anywhere else, So I'm going to prepare all of our main meals, which he can have as much as he wants. And then from there, if he needs a sweet treat or anything, a potato, do you know what I mean? He's going to have what he wants. I'm not taking anything off that man's plate. So here I am starting over. What kind of brought me to this tipping point of this has to be a forever life change is that back in 2025 of October, well, prior to October really, but last year, I was in that original state where I was fatigued, muscle fatigue, a lot of stress, hair falling out, my skin was super itchy. I was having a lot of complications again. I go to the doctor, they do the blood work, everything's normal. Go to a natural doctor, they check my hormones, because I am 52, let's check my hormones and make sure that I'm not going through the change and it doesn't need to be adjusted for that. I did lose my uterus, but not my ovaries. So that's something to factor in. Everything was fine. I'm still ovulating. I don't need any supplemental hormones yet. Okay, great. 2 months later, I had a massive gallbladder attack that was quite severe and painful, and I had it removed. So I keep losing body parts, y'all, and I'm over it. Okay. I'm just over it. I know I need to make this change. Could I go on a GLP? Yeah, I think it would really benefit me actually. But right now, because all my blood work is in that beautiful normal range, even though I am obese, TRICARE won't cover it. So it's just not something that's within our financial reach at this moment. We just haven't prioritized it. I really want to focus on reining in my diet first and getting a handle on that, because I really believe that those medications are the most powerful when you really change your diet and not just try to treat it with a drug. I'm very pro, let's kind of get a handle on that first, and then use these tools to really help you persevere when life gets hard or when you're traveling. If you take a bite of something, I don't want it to derail me for months, get back into that cycle of like, well, I had one, let me get to the bottom of this bag of, I don't know, potato chips or whatever it is I try, not to use it as a crutch or an excuse to binge on something, but life is life, and you might go to a restaurant one day and eat something with an ingredient that you didn't realize was going to send you there mentally, and then it just, in a moment of festivities or hardship or whatever, it just wreck my future eating and make it so much more difficult to get back on track. So along with that, just sharing my journey and trying to build community for encouragement and just to share what's going on with me personally. I know that we all have very different stories, and I just wanted to share mine. So I hope you'll stick around and I can share my progress, how I'm doing mentally, possibly with GLP in the future. I don't know. I'm praying about it and we'll see what happens, but I appreciate your time. If you want to follow me, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate all your care and support, and pray for me. If you're a Christian believer in Christ, please pray for me. I covet your prayers so much. This is a big life change for me, and this is something I want to do until the Lord takes us home, right? Or me. Take care, everyone. Have a happy new year. Stay focused, accomplishing our goals this year, 2026. Bye, everybody.